Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GMAT Club MBA Spotlight Fair featuring top business schools from all across the globe. My name is Selby, and I'm a GMAT Club moderator and also the host for today's session. I'm extremely delighted to be hosting the Schulich School of Business here to give us a great insight on what the MBA program is like at Schulich. We've got Carl, Sean, Deanna, and Eddy, who will be taking us through the presentation, after which we'll be going through a live Q&A. This Q&A will happen later on Zoom, so make sure to join right after this session. We have this cool little announcement. We will be offering some prizes for those of y'all who will be attending this session throughout. And there will be a prize drawing done in the end. So if you want to enter the prize drawing, the link to it will be uploaded on the chat box. Last but not least, guys, do give us a like and subscribe to our channel. It'll only take a minute of your time. I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you, everyone. So I just wanted to double check everyone's seeing the Your MBA Your Way screen. Fantastic. So hello and welcome. My name is Carl Sachs, and I am one of the assistant directors of recruitment and admissions here at the Schulich School of Business. I'm joined today by my wonderful colleague, Sean, who is one of our recruitment and communications coordinators, and two of our fantastic students, Deanna and Eddy, who you'll learn a bit more about in just a few moments. So today we're going to cover some highlights about the MBA program at Schulich, including areas like the program structure, admission requirements, tuition, and student life. So hopefully by the end of this session, you should have a good idea of what makes the Schulich program unique and be able to make an informed decision about your next steps. And you're also welcome to ask questions in the chat and speak to us in our Zoom room after the presentation. So for anyone not already familiar with Schulich, we are part of York University, which is the third largest university in Canada, and we're located in Toronto, Canada's largest city. We are consistently ranked among the top business schools in the world, and most recently we've been ranked #1 in Canada by The Economist, Forbes, and CNN Expansion. So those rankings have a lot to do with the high quality of the program, the amazing faculty, industry connections, and employability. And we also rank highly in return on investment, so how much time it takes to pay back your MBA costs due to increases in salary that our MBA grads see. But where the Schulich MBA program really shines is in its customizability and flexibility. So students have up to 17 different options for specialization to really focus on what areas and industries are important to them. We have additional graduate diplomas that you can do in combination with your degree and basically complete two credentials at the same time and the same cost. And then we do also have some joint degree programs. So if you're looking to do a law degree in addition to your MBA, we have that. Or if you're looking to do a Master of Fine Arts in combination with your MBA, we have that as well. And speaking more to the flexibility of the program, we offer both a January and September start, so you can choose whichever one best fits your timelines. And we have two campuses, one at York University, which is in the north part of the city of Toronto, and the other in downtown Toronto in the financial district, and both are incredibly easy to access by subway. So those options really afford you the opportunity to balance your education and your career however you see fit. So I'm really happy to introduce two of our current students who are here with us today. We have Deanna and Eddy. I'll pass it over to them, introduction about themselves and a bit of background information. So Deanna, can we start with you?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Deanna Galati. I'm a second-year MBA student at the Schulich School of Business. I sort of have a non-conventional business background. So I did my Bachelor of Arts in Theater and then graduated and started working in the arts and culture sector in Toronto for about 5 years before coming to Schulich. As Carl mentioned, Schulich has 17 different specializations. And so the attractive feature for me here was the arts, media, and entertainment specialization that Schulich offered me. And so I'm currently doing my MBA with a specialization in arts with the intention to go back into the arts industry in just a different sort of capacity. And so I did work in more community programming and producing in performing arts, and I'm looking to sort of transition with the MBA into more government policy work. So that's a bit about me and my background. Eddy, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Deanna. So yeah, my name is Eddy. Prior to coming into Schulich, I was more right out of undergrad. I went kind of into the investment and banking industry. First, I initially started with the RBC in insurance, which I thought was amazing. I was able to learn a lot through that industry, and then kind of transition into the banking sector with the TD. So that is when I decided to take my MBA. Prior to taking my MBA, I did want to kind of specialize into that branch of finance and investments and things like that. But very early on into my Schulich career, I found so many specialization, as Carl mentioned, that really piqued my interest. And I am now looking to specialize in finance and real estate. So that's currently what I've been doing. And there's been so many ways to kind of enjoy other programs just because I'm in finance and real estate, but I'm still able to benefit from a lot of other courses. So I found that to be quite amazing.
Cool. Thanks so much, Eddy and Deanna. So now I'm going to tell you a bit about what the program structure of the MBA program is like. So there are a couple of different parts that you need to know about. The first year of the program is pretty much a set curriculum. It's almost like a foundation year. So you're going to work on your business fundamentals through core courses such as finance, marketing, statistics, accounting, among others. And there's also a focus on developing problem-solving skills and leadership skills and better understanding organizational structures. So that's the part one you see on the slide here. During that first year, students typically use it to explore various areas of business and really solidify what they'd like to focus on in their second year. Between the first and second year, there is a 4-month break, and you have the option to do an internship. Now, it's not mandatory, so it's not built directly into the program, so it's up to you if you want to pursue that, and many of our students do. Otherwise, you can choose a 4-month break, or if you want to finish faster, you can actually skip the 4-month break and finish the full program in 16 months rather than the usual 20 months. So there is a lot of flexibility there. Then there's the second year. So that's the number 2 and 3 that you see on your screen here. You're going to be doing 2 key aspects of the program simultaneously. So first of all, every MBA student does something called a strategy field study, or the strategy field study, or the 601. So for us, this is really the capstone project of the degree. So you're not, it's not a research-based thesis program for this master's degree. You're very much focused on the hands-on practical application of what you're learning in your classes. So you'll be working in teams of 6, so yourself along with 5 of your classmates for 8 months, and you'll have a real client. This is a live strategic consulting project where you're working with a real company to help them solve business problems or a challenge that they're facing. And throughout those 8 months, and at the end of those 8 months, you'll provide the client with some strategic recommendations. So you really get to apply everything you've learned in your classes to this real world project, while also gaining experience and building your resume, building your network, and learning in a practical environment. So I'd like to ask our panelists, you're both in your second year now, and you're about 2 months into your strategy field study. Could you share with us how things are going so far, maybe about the companies you're working with, or how you formed your teams, and what the process is being like? So maybe we can start with Deanna.
Sure. Yeah, as Carl mentioned, it's an 8-month project where you really get to use the skills that you learned throughout your first year and really apply it to a real world setting. Something that was really cool for me was I'm actually getting to do an arts and media site. So in alignment with my interests and goals. I'll speak a bit because I think the group formation is actually a really important piece here. You want to work with people with diverse skill sets. So you don't want to have like a full team of, everyone coming from the arts and culture sector, for instance. In my case, you want someone who's maybe a little bit more inclined on finance, someone on marketing, someone on, a bunch of different specializations and areas. And so that was important, an important piece for me when starting to form my team. I actually started forming my team really early, I would say. I started back in, I think, February or March. So I hadn't even finished my first year yet, and I was already starting to form my group. But that actually gave us a lot of leadway to finding a client. And so Schulich does help with finding a client, but a lot of times students also take on that responsibility. And so we gave ourselves a lot of buffer time to find a client, make sure we were happy with the client that we were going to work with, and started building that relationship a bit earlier on, I would say in about August, before jumping in September. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
So that was the strategy field study, the number 2 on your screen. Now, the other thing you'll be doing simultaneously is your specializations and elective courses. So we do have 17 different specializations to choose from, and you can see all of them on your screen here. So you can choose up to 2 specializations that suit your goals and interests, or you can do a general MBA where you can take courses in several different areas. And the choice is really up to you. There is a lot of flexibility here as well. Now, we do group them into 2 groups. There's functional and cross-functional, but that doesn't mean you need to choose one from each group, for example. You can choose whichever 2 you'd like, or again, do a general MBA and kind of be a jack of all trades. Now, another question for our panelists. When it came to choosing your specializations, what did you end up choosing, and was there a particular decision-making process that you had when you were making your choice? And we can start with Deanna again.
Sure. I did touch on it earlier a bit, but for me, it was a pretty easy decision, I would say, mainly because I knew that I was using the MBA or taking up the MBA to accelerate within the industry I was already working in. And so the arts, media, entertainment management specialization was sort of a no-brainer for me. I did think about perhaps specializing in other areas, but because you could, I think, hypothetically do 2 specializations. But for me, I decided to just keep the other courses a lot more general. So I'm taking stuff in strategy and in marketing, and actually I'm taking a real estate course too, Eddy. So I decided to keep it a little bit more general to really feed my overall interests and what I wanted to learn. So yeah, I would say it was a bit of a no-brainer for me. I know some people have a bit of a tougher time deciding what specializations would work for them, but yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, and for myself, I'd say it was definitely a bit of a journey. Just coming into from an investment and banking side, I just naturally thought finance would be right where I'd be going. Things that kind of held me back was I was actually doing the CFA. So I was thinking maybe it's a bit too much into the finance part, but after the first foundation course in finance, I really thought it gave me something different, like the application side, where we're actually doing projects and seeing what we were actually calculating. So I really liked that. So then I decided to go into finance. But as of late, I've kind of this fall actually, I I found a new interest. Just came to me. I took a real estate course that also counts as a finance credit, and I really enjoyed that. And having worked in the past in real estate briefly, I really thought it'd be something I'd like. And the course has been good, and this is now my second specialization. So it's been amazing to see that I came into thinking I'd be going into finance fully, and I'm able to accommodate for 2 specializations and looking to end with that. So it's been nice.
So I wanted to touch a little bit about student life at Schulich. There's quite a lot to do outside of the class, and if you're only focused on your coursework, you're really missing out on so much of what the Schulich experience really is. So there's things like the Student Council, which we call the Graduate Business Council, or GBC. There's our launch week and orientation activities, exchange programs, many different things. There's something called the Schulympics. So as I mentioned, these are some of the things that you can do outside the classes. We do participate in a lot of competitions each year, and there's lots of opportunities to get involved with specifically case competitions. In Canada, there's a big one called the MBA Games. So this is a competition between all the MBA schools in Canada, and some of it is like case competition based, but there's also other aspects. And each year, the games do rotate to the winning school from the previous year. So I'm going to pass it over to Deanna to talk a little bit more about the MBA Games and some case competition.
Sure, thanks, Carl. So the MBA Games has I know I said Schulympics was great, but the MBA Games has truly been the highlight of my year at Schulich. And so I participated on the team last year, and Schulich came in first place. And so we are actually hosting the games this year, which is really, really exciting. As Carl mentioned, it's a national competition, so between MBA schools in Canada, and it is the largest, or considered the largest MBA competition that we have in the country. And so we compete on case, athletics, and spirit. So there's a lot of different activities that take place over a weekend. And then, what was I going to say to that? So yeah, that's MBA Games in a nutshell. It takes place over a weekend in January. And then case competitions. Schulich, I would say, is very, very involved with case competitions, not just with the MBA Games, but also expanding and going to different case competitions. And so there's a few ways that you could get involved with case competitions. One, the GBC actually runs called the Dean's Cup. So that's an annual case competition between Schulich students. And so you form your team and you compete over 4 rounds that take place throughout the year. And then there's sort of the external stuff that happens outside of Schulich. And so we do have a case team that competes and trains to go to these different competitions. I was able to go to and compete at the HEC Montreal competition, as well as a competition at Yale University, so outside of Canada as well. And I know we've done a few others outside of Canada too. And so this is a really great way, again, to apply those skills that you're learning in the MBA on real world problems, network, meet people from outside of the program, and yeah, just really put those skills to test. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of fun with case competitions, and I always encourage incoming students to get involved. Schulich, I would say, is quite involved with case competitions. So.
Hey, thanks so much, Deanna. And I know Eddy has participated in several case competitions himself. I encourage anyone who's interested, feel free to meet us in the Zoom room afterwards. And if you have any questions about those, you can ask us there. So, sorry, Eddy, I'm going to keep moving forward given the time.
Okay.
Thanks. So I'm going to see if my colleague Sean is available to take over from this point. Sean, are you
Absolutely.
good to go? Thanks.
Yeah, of course, I'll try and keep this short and sweet because I know we're a little pressed for time. But, you know, one of the main strengths, I think, of our case competitions, of our MBA game turnout, is the diversity of perspective that we have in the classroom, you know, whether it's our faculty, our student body, or even, you know, the employment opportunities and recruiters who recruit out of Schulich. You know, in terms of gender diversity, we have about a 40% female population at our school, thanks to various leadership initiatives, such as our Women in Business annual event that we lead every year, usually in cooperation with the KPMG, I believe it is. But, you know, we also have several other initiatives and clubs, and of course, the Forte Foundation, who helps provide some annual entrance funding for women who are looking to get their MBA and become, you know, prominent business leaders. You know, our classroom as well is comprised of many unique and interesting perspectives, with about 55% of our student population being international students. And in addition to that, about 70% of our students are actually coming from non-business backgrounds. So like Deanna, you know, maybe coming from an arts background. You know, we find that typically it's because of our wide range of specializations. We have 17 different specializations on offer, several, like hundreds of different, 100 plus different electives on offer as well. And in addition to that, we have our joint degrees and graduate diplomas that really attract such a wide range of different candidates from various different functional roles and industries. And that has all contributed as well to our strong employment outcomes for our students. Our Career Development Center is a great resource for students who are looking to break in or start their future careers. But one of the other services that they offer is the Employment Outcomes Report every year. So this is the outcome for our 2020 class. We had about an 88% higher rate within the first 3 months of graduation, with an average starting salary of about $94,000. And that's, of course, not including you know, signing bonuses for those who it's applicable to. You know, so we're very proud that we're able to maintain this employment rate even into the pandemic. And I just want to mention as well, you know, we're 8th in the world in terms of salary increase from pre to post MBA. And, you know, Forbes even mentions that in terms of, you know, Canadian MBAs, we're ranked #1 in terms of years to pay back all costs associated with the MBA, including tuition and cost of living, with students recouping their investment in as little as 3 years. So while it is a significant investment, you are investing in your future career, and you're hopefully going to see a return on that investment almost immediately. So if all this sounds great and you're looking to apply, I'll just do a high-level overview of what we're looking for in admissions requirements. So in terms of academics, we're looking for a 3 or 4 year undergraduate degree. It can be in any academic background, so long as it was completed at accredited university. Once again, mentioning, about 70% of our students are coming from non-business backgrounds. So, if you went to school for something entirely different, that's entirely fine. We're mainly looking at your GPA. And in terms of GPA, we're hoping for about a B minimum GPA or higher. We are also looking for a competitive GMAT or GRE score. In terms of the GMAT, we're looking for about a 660 to be considered competitive. For the GRE, I believe that's about 322, I think it is, but we'll just have to double check it, maybe in our Zoom room afterwards. And then in terms of work experience, we are looking for a minimum of 2 years full-time postgraduate work experience by the time the program starts. So if you're not quite there yet, please feel free to send in an application, so long as you have 2 years by the time the program starts. In terms of English language proficiency, we accept TOEFL or IELTS. You can see the scores we're looking for there. But if you have gone to university for at least 2 full-time years of continuous study where English was the medium of instruction, we can go ahead and waive that requirement for you. So that's pretty much it in terms of our hard requirements. In terms of our soft requirements, the application itself, we're looking for 1 personal statement. That's about a 350-word essay on why you're pursuing the MBA and what makes you a unique candidate. We're having an optional essay if you have anything on your application that you want to specifically address or draw attention to. Then you have a one-time written essay as well as 2 video essays, just kind of seeing how you react under pressure, how effective you are as a communicator, and if you have that, as we call it, executive presence. Apart from that, we are also looking for 2 professional references, ideally people who have worked closely with you and can attest to your work ethic and ability. And then if everything looks good with the application, we invite you to interview, and that's just a casual conversation, just discussing your eligibility for the program. Okay, so in terms of cost for the program, we're looking at about $72,000 for domestic students for the full program. International students, you're looking at about $107,000 Canadian. Once again, it is an investment, but you're investing in your future. And of course, we have about $4 million awarded annually for any students who are eligible. I would always encourage, if funding is a consideration for your application, the earlier you're able to get that application in, the better. Of course, we're going to reserve funding for the later rounds, but there are going to be some first come, first serve scholarship opportunities. So the sooner you get that application in, the better. So that's pretty much it. Maybe we can discuss a little bit more in these Zoom rooms after, but I'll toss it back to Carl.
Thanks so much, Sean. And that brings a close to the formal portion of the presentation. We'll pass it back to the GMAT Club team.
Yeah, that was an amazing presentation. Thank you for sharing that information with our audience. We also would like to thank our audience members who have joined today. We hope this session provided you guys with valuable information about Schulich School of Business. If you still have questions, remember to join the live Q&A session in Zoom. The link is now being posted in the chat, and we hope to see you there. You can also stay tuned on YouTube for the next business school presentation. Thank you, Sean, Carl, Eddy, and Deanna for your time today, and we will see you in Zoom momentarily.